excellent.
I know that Google is really interested in accelerating this kind of development. They're working with schools to extend broadband networks. They're to get them to adopt technology and the internet. Like I said, Contact 2 is also working in that same light. Many of the big corporates, the Nokias, the Microsoft are doing student ambassador programs, and the students themselves, if you give them access to it, I think these are the two big things. Like if you made electricity and internet available to students, they will pick up these things themselves. But at the same time, there needs to be a concerted effort from the curriculum, from that baseline, and make sure that these things are. I don't know. Maybe then I need to fire a whole generation of.
So recently I was in Senegal, in Dakar, and I visited the University of Bosgaston in North Senegal. And what's interesting is that, and it's a model I think other African countries need to copy. They have a university that specializes in technology, and not just in name, like we have all these federal university of technologies. But to get into those schools, you have to be very smart. Once you get in, you don't pay fees, but you get taught so well that companies like Google are now situating their companies within the universities. So it's attracting companies from all over the world because they find students who come out of school ready to make things happen. I think it's saddening that you can't point to a single university in Nigeria and say, you know what, if it's software, they can stand.
So someone was talking about Babcock. So some of the private universities actually are beginning to, they have really well-developed computer science departments that are actually producing good talent. I know that Babcock, and this is not me trying to plug them or anything, but some of these people are actually beginning to catch up. Now, the public schools, not so much.
I'm just sad because we just had 9 new universities. Instead of them trying to do everything, if they just specialize and focus exactly and become very good at that, then you can leapfrog.
So you get some of the technology universities, like you say, and they offer more social science courses than actual technology-related courses. But you mentioned something. We're going to go back to the internet. I want to talk on that a little later. But you mentioned something earlier about the communications ministry and all of that. And I think most people would agree that we have a very exciting minister there now who's very interested in all of this. The growth with young people and hubs and all of that. But we know Nigeria and continuity. What do you think would happen if, for example, she's out of office tomorrow? Is government, the partnership, is it great now, or is it as good as we think it is? And do you think it's going to continue?
In Kenya, for instance, Dr. Bitange Ndemo was one of the probably the most lionized public proponent of technology in Kenya. But right after he left, some other person assumed that particular office, and the techies in Kenya are not very happy. With the person they got. And to be honest, when the cabinet reshuffle was going on, last year, many of us had our hearts in our mouth about what would happen if the minister did get the axe. Fortunately, she didn't. But that fear is there. We're hoping that continuity is actually the biggest issue. She's doing things that maybe she's not moving as fast as we would like, but a lot of progress is going on in terms of for instance, broadband. That's huge. Deploying the broadband, and you can see what's going on in Yaba. Making that a prototype for fast internet and enabling that community as an economic and technology hub. And those are she's doing stuff around open data, with the World Bank. Many things that are going on that you hope that if someone else, so I don't know. You have to. That continuity has to happen. Whoever is coming in next has to know that this is not some personal thing. That it has to. It's just like what happened Fashola and Tinubu. If he decided that it was going to destroy the works of his predecessor, then Lagos will probably not be what it is today. And that is what needs to happen. As a community, we need to canvass and make sure that not some airhead is the next person to be installed in that position.
So, like I said, the collaboration is as good as we think it is so far, is what I'm saying?
Yes, I think it's a valid concern, right, that if she leaves, what's going to happen? But I think we also need to build institutions that outlast individuals, and that is where the private sector needs to come in.
But it's a brand new ministry, though.
It's a brand new ministry. It's going to take time for it to be family rooted, so that even if people come in, but the way it's going to be done is that it's not just built around her as an individual. It has to be around institutions, so that even if anything happens, things continue to go on. And I think it's beginning to happen. Over the past couple of weeks, I have worked closely with our ministry around innovation in health. I will probably get to that. But because it's being championed by the private sector, we we are not as much concerned as if yes, she's doing a great job, we hope she's there, or someone else who comes in provides the right support. But because it's not just built around the ministry, we believe it would outlast whoever is in that.
Also about the internet now, this is probably the biggest complaint the average Nigerian has with anything technology related these days, because I think everybody uses it with the phones or whatever it is. And I saw a tweet yesterday from where he was saying along the lines of, in the last 10 years, speed has almost remained the same in the country. Where are we going? Where are we speaking to the average Nigerian?
It definitely will. It definitely will get better. The question is how quickly it will. And according to the broadband plan that the ministry laid out, they're talking about, I don't remember just that the percentage, but somewhere around 50% broadband penetration by 2018 or thereabouts. That's nothing compared to what is going on in Korea, for instance, where 5G internet, you can download the movie in seconds and things like that. That gap is just like really, really wide. But what is encouraging is that the government recognizes that the internet is a serious enabler of economic development. Right now, IT stands for about 2% of GDP. It's growing every year, and they realize that there is that huge imperative to make sure that they deploy broadband. So we're seeing them not just deploying internet for internet's sake, but also like seeing how they can use it to stimulate economic development. Yaba is the template currently, and they're seeing how they can deploy high-speed internet by collaborating with government to waive the right of way and make it half as cheap for the broadband companies to deploy high-speed internet across that corridor. And if it works, one hopes that they will not just do it in Lagos, but also use that template and replicate it across the state. Get the states to waive the right of ways too, because what it does is that it just like makes the economy come alive, and then it stimulates development in that region. So they should not be tax collectors, as it were.
We have just so much we need to talk about, but we don't have a lot of time. We're going to go one final question out to both of you. What are you most excited about going forward in the tech space, especially regarding the youth?
Okay, so for me, I think it's the coming together of the different players. So recently we just launched what is called the Nigerian Health Innovation Marketplace, and that's a convergence platform for the techies, for the medical practitioners, doctors, nurses, pharmacists, whatever, for the capital market, investors, and government to come together to plug the gaps and leverage innovation for health. So we launched that on Friday with Alhaji Aliko Dangote and the ICT minister, and they're so the private sector is putting their weight behind this, and actually even launching a challenge around this. Yesterday we were at CC Hub, where they had the Social Change Lab, and they also had stakeholders in health and youth coming together. So I think innovation in Nigeria is beginning to go beyond just the fringes. So it's just as an odd thing. It's beginning to be embraced by different sectors, and I think that's what's most exciting for me right now.
Thank you very much. There's I think after this we're going to just have a private conversation because it's very exciting. But thank you very much. I'll be looking forward to your competition and how that turns out, and of course all the good things you're doing with health and all of that. Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you very much.
Asujay, thanks for joining us. Remember, you can join the conversation on Twitter at YNigerTV is the handle. The hashtag is Rubbin Minds. Also the website yniger.com/TV. As we always say, you've never seen young people talk like this before. I'll see you next week.